Welcome back to another episode of Out the Bench Podcast. And y'all know, I just got done watching the best playoff game of the day, which is the Warriors versus the Rockets, which the Warriors end up pulling the thing off in a good win. They end up winning 95-85, winning by 10 points. And before we get into that video, before we get into the game and talk about it, how the game went, my thoughts and all that, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment section down below. Let's get right into it. So, how I feel about this game, to me, this game came down to one team had experience, which was the Golden State Warriors, and one team was inexperienced in the Houston Rockets. And I kind of feel like, at some point in time, the Houston Rockets, they inexperience was going to show up. And I think it played a big factor. Because once you're facing a team like the Golden State Warriors, you don't want to give them too many opportunities to kind of step on your throat, especially with having Steph Curry being that he's been played in so many high leverage games and being in so many high leverage moments. He understands the moment. He understands when to take over, when to hit the big shots, and do things like that, which the Houston Rockets couldn't capitalize off of. They had too many turnovers this game. I think that was their Achilles heel. With me saying that their turnover was the Achilles heel, is because they're bigger than the Warriors. They're longer, they're more athletic, they're faster than the Warriors. They're younger than the Warriors. And they was beating the Golden State Warriors on the offensive glass, killing them on the offensive glass with Steven Adams, Anthony Shangun, Jabari Smith, Tari Eason, Amen Thompson. They was all crashing the offensive glass, getting, creating second chance opportunities for the Houston Rockets. And, what's the word I'm looking for? What kind of like offset it that, they kind of took away from the offensive rebounding was them turning the ball over. Because you don't get an opportunity to get a second chance opportunity or get an offensive rebound. You don't even get a shot up at the rim. And I think that was the key. That was the reason why the Warriors won this game, because the Houston Rockets, now, don't get me wrong, the Warriors, they won this game fair and square. Steph Curry, he did what Steph Curry was going to do. Jimmy Butler being a junkyard dog, giving them 23.7 rebounds, 6 assists, doing a little bit of everything. It's really, they was the main two. They would keep, Steph Curry making big shot after big shot. He was hitting fadeaway threes, being the Steph Curry that we know him to be, especially in the playoffs. Being that big shot maker, being a big shot taker, being the best three-point shooter in NBA history. So the Warriors, they did what they did, and they leaned on their experience. They leaned on, staying poised and the guys making the right play at the right time. And that's what happened. But, with that being said, the Houston Rockets, they had opportunities to be able to, win this game. They had opportunities to be able to close the gap. They was down, 15 points coming out the second half, starting like the third quarter. The Warriors went on a little run to kind of extend the lead a little bit. But what I like from the Houston Rockets that, even though with their inexperience and them being a young team, they show heart, they show fight, and be able to come in, make it a game. I think the closest they got to in the fourth quarter was like it was a 4-point game. But like I said, when it's playoff time, points come at a premium. So you just can't be sitting there turning the ball over and doing things like that. Not getting shots at the rim, or you giving the Warriors more opportunities to extend the lead, or to get the game closer. That's taken away from what y'all do best, which is crash the offensive glass, attack the paint. But another point I wanna point out with the Houston Rockets, Amen Thompson, really the whole team outside of Anthony Shangun, when y'all was going to the paint, bro, y'all just can't expect what y'all did in the regular season and fly in the playoffs. You just can't go in there throwing your body at folks, throwing the ball at the rim, expecting to get bailed out with foul calls, or expecting to get, make those type of shots. You got to go in there with some type of, you gotta go in there like you know what I'm saying? Like, I know what I'm trying to say. Like, you gotta go in there with more precision and go in there, act like you know what you want to do. You just not going in there just throwing the ball up at the rim and torsoing your body at folks, and you creating charge opportunities and things like that. But this was a good game nonetheless. You know, the Houston Rockets, they showed me a lot with them, with a lot of these guys outside of what Steven Adams and Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks. You know, Jalen Green, this is gonna be his first playoff experience moments. Alfred Şengün, Jabari Smith, Tari Eason, Aman Thompson, a lot of the key guys for the Houston Rockets. This is their first playoff rodeo, so this is new to them, and this is kind of foreign to them. But the thing I want to point out is this: we all said that coming into this series, for the Houston Rockets to have an opportunity to win this game, Jalen Green got to go to extreme measures that he never been before. You know, obviously he never been in the playoffs, but thing is, Jalen Green, we need you to reach new heights. We need you to be that all-star caliber player that you is. We need you to be a consistent shot maker. We need you to bring your A game every game. And tonight, 7 points, 3 for 15 from the field, 0 for 4 from three-point range. You left Şengün hanging tonight. Nobody for the Houston Rockets really played well outside of Alfred Şengün for real, if I'm just being honest. But then again, like I said, the X factor for the Houston Rockets is Jalen Green. The Houston Rockets gonna go as far as Jalen Green take them. It don't matter how good. Şengün could have 40, 20, and 10. But it wasn't gonna be enough because you need somebody to be able to offset that and combat that with some type of production. And that production gotta come from Jalen Green. You know, you was the second overall pick. You've been woofing that Cade, talking about how you should have been the number 1 pick and all these things like that. Man, you gotta have it on your mind when coming game 2. And this is what I'm gonna say to you, Jalen Green. I'm talking to you, bruh. Go home, unpaint them nails, leave the nail polish and all that at home. Leave the emo bullshit at home, bruh. We need you locked in, ready to roll, ready to play. We not going for all that little boy kitty, emo, fingernail polish all on the nail. This playoff basketball. We need you focused. We need you playing at a high level. We need you being a star, showing that you can be a star. Because with you playing at this level, y'all might get swept, might get a game, but that's about it. We need you 20, 25 points minimum. We need you being a star. We need you making a name for yourself. And this is where, you know, star players become superstars in the playoffs. If you want to have your name in these same conversations with all these other young guys like Luka Doncic, Anthony Edwards, even Apollo, you gotta. This is your opportunity to shine right now, and you can't take this moment for granted, Jalen Green. Like I said, leave that emo shit at the house. Fingernail polish, leave that at the house. You need to come in with your army boots, strapped up, locked and loaded, and ready to go. You know, you might bring some grenades, bring your AKs, bring your 40s, bring 9s, and bring hella ammo, because going against the Golden State Warriors with all this playoff experience, you're gonna need it. Not coming out here playing and bull jiving around. Now, nonetheless, I'm still impressed by what I've seen from the Houston Rockets. Now, one thing to me that I can't question with Ime Udoka, which I think he did a good job coaching his ball game. You know, it's only so much that you can do, because obviously you're not the one out there playing. It's up to your players to execute, which they had a lot of turnovers tonight. Let me see, how many turnovers did Houston had 16 turnovers. Golden State only had 11 turnovers. You know, and that's the battle right there. So you end up allowing the Golden State Warriors to get at least five more shot attempts to you, not including the second chance points and second chance rebounds, things of that nature. But when you turn the ball over 16 times, you not allowing yourself to even get a shot up attempt. You know, some of those, if you take away half those turnovers, you get a shot up or even get fouled on some of them points. I mean, on some of them turnovers, you're looking at a different ball game. But Ime Udoka, he had one timeout left with 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Now, a lot of people will, you know, if it was any other coach or any other team, we'd probably be bashing Ime Udoka with the bad coaching job that he did in this game. We only had one timeout left with 6 minutes to go, so you weren't able to, call a timeout to be able to calm your guys down or be able to, draw plays up and things like that. But the thing is, while I'm not too much looking into that, because like I said, the Houston Rockets, they're a young team. They've never been there before, so you needed to expand those timeouts. Kind of, I'm not gonna say excessively, but kind of more than you wanted to, because you have to be able to call those timeouts to kind of settle them down. A lot of those guys, they never been in that moment. They don't know what it feel like. They don't know how to play through all these type of emotions, the type of anxiety, and that type of atmosphere. So I can't really just put too much onus on, on Ime Udoka for, calling all those timeouts. Now, on the other side of things, I talked about Houston and what they didn't do and what they did do and how I was impressed with them. But the Golden State Warriors, they just showed you why, they're one of the dangerous teams in the NBA, because they got the experience. Draymond, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler. We know what Jimmy Butler is come playoff time. He's one of the best playoff performers, in the modern NBA. He showed that today. 23 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Doing a lot of dirty work. He had like 3 or 4 steals. Defending at a high level, making all the right plays whenever it was time, and then the opportunity presented itself for him to be aggressive, for him to knock down the shot. Hey, Jimmy Butler, you know what to call on. He did this with the Heat multiple times, taking the Heat, an 8th seed to the NBA Finals. He done went to the NBA Finals twice, being the main catalyst. Now he got Steph Curry on his side, and Steph Curry was out there. Man, that boy can shoot the ball. I ain't lying. Like, bro, Steph was shooting like, it was 3 or 4 times the clock was winding down, and bro, we're talking about 2 defenders draped all over him. He just throwing the ball, and them mugs all like not even touching rim, just all net. Like, that's Steph Curry right there for you. He ended up having 32 in this game. Let me see. Yeah, Steph Curry, he had 31. Jimmy Butler with 25, 7 and 6. Pies, he had 14 points. Outside of that, you really ain't get much production. You got timely basket from Moses Moody. He hit the 3 in the corner. He ended up hitting like a last second while the shot clock was running down. We ended up extending the lead back to like 6 or 8 points. He had like a fading jump shot. But outside of Curry and Pies and Jimmy Butler, you didn't really get much production from anybody else. But like I said, once you turn the ball over 16 times like the Houston Rockets did, Alfred Sengun had 26 and 9. The next closest player with the most points on the Houston Rockets was Dillon Brooks. And no disrespect to Dillon Brooks, but you're not going far in the playoffs with Dillon Brooks, your second leading scorer in the playoff. 11 points, and Jabari Parker had 11 points. Fred VanVleet had 10. Jalen Green, you got 7. Jalen Green, like I said, you got to play better than that. You got to be better, because you're the X factor for this Houston Rockets team. They only go as far as you take them. So you got to be able to be locked in and loaded. You got to come back with a better mindset, a different type of aggression, a different type of poise about yourself, and be confident in your game. Don't just be going in there just shooting shots. A lot of things you was forcing the game early on was kind of threw off your rhythm for the rest of the game. You gotta let the game come to you. The game is about flow. It's about rhythm. If you don't got your rhythm early, you're not gonna catch it late. And the Warriors, they kind of made everything hard on him. He was forcing shots, trying to shoot over 2-3 people, going to the rim, just throwing shots up at the rim, hoping he can get a foul call. This the playoffs. It's a little bit different. You got to be locked in. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know your spots. You got to get to them. You got to rise up. You got to be focused. Knock down those shots. But this was a good game. It was by far the best game of the day. Because Orlando Celtics was the blowout. Cavs Heat blowout. And we ain't even got to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies OKC game. We know, boy, real leather belt right there. But it's good that we got a good game at the end of the night to cap it off. That's why I had to talk about it. Y'all let me know who y'all got in game 2. Do y'all got the Warriors winning? Do y'all got the Houston Rockets bouncing back at home in game 2? Jalen Green. Y'all got Jalen Green bouncing back from a terrible shooting night that he had today. Y'all just let me know in the comments. Warriors in 6, Warriors in 7, Rockets in 6, Rockets in 7, Rockets in 5. Y'all let me know who y'all got in the comment section. I'll see y'all next time.